Just turning the recording on. All right. Good morning, everyone, and welcome back. This is IGTV. With us is accomplished attorney, and private investigator Richard Horowitz. All right. And Rich, you're coming on the program today to continue our discussion in this whole terrorism awareness area. All right. And one of the things that you wanted to elaborate a little bit more on is this whole national intelligence estimate from 2007. Is that estimate still, of the same value that it was when it was produced, or has it been interpreted to be something else?
Well, the first question is, what did the estimate say? The reason that I think it's of importance is because to this day, 5 years later or so, the estimate is relied on as proof that the Iranian regime has not decided to produce nuclear weapons. What I'd like to do is to simply review the New York Times coverage on that estimate and just read from several of the estimate's findings. And we'll get a perspective on what the estimate actually said. Because the issue here, if the focus of the issue is on the intent of the Iranian regime, and no one will be satisfied of their intentions unless there's direct proof, that proof may never come. A lot of the times when it comes, whether in court or international affairs, sometimes you have to make decisions based on circumstantial evidence. So if Iran is enriching uranium, and at times secretly, and at times giving difficulty to the inspectors to inspect, and if it's developing ballistic missile capability, and if it's developing nuclear triggers, and if the closing sentence of the preamble to the Iranian constitution says that it looks forward to the downfall of all foreign governments by the end of the 20th century, there's reason for concern about what Iran is doing. In 2007, there was a national intelligence estimate which has been referred to this day as proof that Iran has halted its nuclear weapon capability. So let me read to you the opening sentence of the New York Times, and I'll read some of the key findings of the NIE from 2007, and we'll see exactly what the NIE said, and then we can better understand what it means. So I'm reading now from the New York Times, December 4, 2007. A new estimate by American intelligence agencies released Monday concludes that Iran halted its nuclear weapons program in 2003. First judgment of the NIE, quote, "We judge with high confidence that in the fall of 2003, Tehran halted its nuclear weapons program. We also assess with moderate to high confidence that Tehran, at a minimum, is keeping open the option to develop nuclear weapons." All right. So it kept that option open, according to the NIE. New York Times continues. The assessment represents a consensus view of all 16 American spy agencies. The NIE, because of intelligence gaps discussed elsewhere in this estimate, however, the Department of Energy and the National Intelligence Council assess with only moderate confidence that the halt to those activities represents a halt to Iran's entire nuclear weapons program. Now, the Department of Energy and the National Intelligence Council is significant because those two agencies deal very closely with this issue. The Department of Energy deals with American nuclear facilities, has a sense of what a nuclear facility does. National Intelligence Council deals with medium and long-term intelligence estimates. So the New York Times leaves that out. Then we go back to the New York Times, finish the paragraph. It talks about the consensus of all 16 spy agencies that Tehran is likely to keep its options open with respect to building a weapon, but that intelligence agencies, quote, "do not know whether it currently intends to develop nuclear weapons." Let's go back to the intelligence estimate itself. We assess with moderate confidence that Tehran had not restarted its nuclear weapons program as of mid-2007, but we do not know whether it currently intends to develop nuclear weapons. Right? A little different than what the New York Times reported. Let's go back to the New York Times. The new estimate declares instead that with high confidence that the military-run program was shut in 2003, and it concludes with moderate confidence that the program remains unfrozen. All right, let's go back to the National Intelligence Estimate, and I'm quoting. We cannot rule out that Iran has acquired weapons from abroad. We do not have sufficient intelligence to judge confidently whether Tehran is willing to maintain the halt of its nuclear weapons program indefinitely while it weighs its options. And the last finding that I think is of relevance, we assess with high confidence that Iran has the scientific, technical, and industrial capacity eventually to produce nuclear weapons if it decides to do so. So now, that's what the National Intelligence Estimate from 2007 says. And the way it's been reported is as proof that Iran has halted its nuclear weapons development program. So now what we're faced with is, as an analogy, someone buys a gun, buys bullets, puts a circle around somebody else's home on a map, and then says, I never intended to kill the person. I just was thinking about it, but I never really intended to do it. The United States and Israel and Europe, which we will see in the second segment, is concerned not that Iran decided today whether or not to develop nuclear weapons. It's concerned whether Iran will develop sooner or later the potential to develop nuclear weapons. Even if people maintain that Iran has not decided to develop nuclear weapons, it can't be proved that Iran has no intention of developing nuclear weapons. And that's what the concern is about. And the way many have referred to this NIE from 2007 indicates that it took only one part of that estimate and it completely ignored all the other parts. And we'll talk in the second segment about the recent SWIFT sanctions on Iran, which we'll explain. But let me first go to the memory clip of the week. If you go to memorytv.org, go to advanced search, put in clip 3304. You will find a former member of the Russian Joint Chiefs of Staff saying that a strike against Iran or Syria is in effect a strike against Russia, and by supporting Iran and Syria, Russia is defending the world from fascism. So that's another consideration that has to be taken into account.
Yeah, good reference on the clip there. Very, very good as well. All right, we're going to be back in just 1 minute with Richard Horowitz and.